All right, so video number 2. I'm going to try and keep this pretty short, too. Don't get overly confused on what we're doing here. All we are doing is graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Okay, we're graphing, I'll even put this, so we're graphing straight lines in slope-intercept form. Now, from the last page, hopefully remember slope-intercept form is written as y equals mx plus b. Okay, and now for right now, y and x, stay y and x. Now, what does m stand for? If you remember it, go ahead and write it down. M stands for slope, and b stands for the y-intercept of a line. Okay, now remember, slope is the way the line moves, and y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis at. So we're going to take these and we're going to write equations for them. So we do that first by identifying the slope and the y-intercept, then finally we get the equation. Now, remember, to write the equation in slope-intercept form, you need the two things. You need slope and you need y-intercept. Those are the two things you have to have. Now, if you'll notice on these lines, on these graphs, you are not given any points. You have to find them yourself. So let's go ahead and look. The first point, the easiest one to find, is our y-intercept, which looks like it's where? Well, it is at 1. Okay, now let's go look for another point. Well, it looks like about this looks like it'll be a good point. Okay, and so now to find the slope, we go from this point to this point. First, we see how much it goes up, and then how much it goes over. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 goes over 4. So a slope of 4 over 4. But hold on, what that means though is that can simplify. 4 over 4 just simplifies to 1. So we have a slope of 1. Okay, so our equation is going to be y equals, so the slope goes in front of x, so y equals 1x plus 1. Now you could simplify this even more by just saying y equals x plus 1, because, there's an understood 1 in front of that. Now, a slope of 1 means you go up 1, then you go over 1, because 1 is really just 1 over 1. So let's test that. If I go up 1 over 1, yeah, I'm still on the line. Up 1 over 1, still on the line, and so forth. So the simplified slope still works. Okay, next one. Okay, so on the last sheet, what did it mean when we had the straight line? What was the slope? Well, the slope was 0, right? So the y-intercept is just where it crosses, which is at 3. So the equation, if we don't have a slope, remember, if there's no slope, that means there's no x. So if we don't have m or x, the only thing we have left is our y-intercept is 3. So we'll do y equals 3. And that's the equation for this. Okay, and now lastly on this one, now make sure we notice this is a negative slope. Okay, see how it's going downwards? That's a negative slope. So first of all, our y-intercept is at 2, and let's find another point. Okay, this point looks good, and then this point looks good. So you only need 2 points to find the slope. So let's start with this one, and let's see how much it goes down then over to get to this point. Well, it just goes down 1, okay, and then it goes over 1, 2, 3. So if it goes down 1, we're going to put negative 1 because it goes down, and then we'll put 3 because it goes over 3. So our slope is negative 1 over 3. All right, so let's write the equation. Y equals, okay, always y equals with slope-intercept form. Then we do our slope, negative 1 over 3. Put our x, and our y-intercept is 2. So it's positive 2, so I put plus 2. And there we go. All right. Okay, how many points do you need on a line to know the slope of the line? Think about that for a second. You only need 2 points on the line. Let's go over here. On this line right here, we only used these 2 points to find the slope, didn't we? Yes, we had 3 we could have used. We had this, this, and this, but we only had to use 2 points. Now you could have used these 2 points also. It doesn't matter which to use, but you only need 2 points to find the slope. Okay. Now, how do you find the slope of a line? Well, there's a couple different ways. If you're looking at a graph, you just count, right? Like over here, again, what we did was we counted down 1, then we went over 3, so you count. But if you do not have the graph, let's put this, if you don't have the graph, you must use the slope formula. So what we mean by this is if you're not given a graph, okay, if you can't see the line, you have to use the slope formula. Now, let's see if we remember it. Well, the slope formula is written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, really important to remember that, so let's commit that to memory. Now, this is what I mean by not being able to see the line. Number 4 says, a line crosses through the points -3 and 5, and then 7, -2. What is the slope of the line? Well, we can't see that line, can we? But we can use the slope formula. Now remember, every point, the first number is an x and the second number is a y. What that means for us over here is that this number is an x, this is a y, and this is an x, and this is a y. Now this is our first x, and it's our first y, so x1 and y1. Here's our second x, or second y. Now we have these labeled. All we have to do is put them in place as this says. So y2 is -2 minus y1, which is 5, over x2 is 7 minus x1, which is -3. So we have to put minus -3. Okay, then we just simplify this. -2 minus 5. Okay, that's going to be -7 over, 7 minus -3. That's really saying 7 plus 3. It's going to be 10. And there's our slope, -7 over 10. This means the line goes down 7, then goes over 10. Okay, so on a graph, we can see that. Okay, so I want you to do this one. So remember, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It is on you to do this one. We want to know what the slope of the line is that goes through these 2 points. Okay, so when you're done with this video, you'll go back and do that. All right, next page. I'm not going to do any of these on number 7. Okay, I did quite a few on the last video. So remember, what you do is you take your slope and you take your y-intercept. The y-intercept is 1, so you put it at 1. Then your slope is -3 over 2, so you go down 3 over 2 to make your line. So I'll go into this. So down 1, 2, 3 over 2, down 3 over 2 again. Then we'll go up 3 over 2 to work backwards. Okay, and that's how quick and easy it can be to make these lines. Okay, so back up here. What are the 2 things you need to know about a line to write the equation for it? Well, we're dealing with slope-intercept form, so what are the 2 things in that name? Well, the 2 things you need to know about a line to make the equation, or to graph it, is the slope and the what? The y-intercept. Okay, got to know those 2 things. Okay, so you're going to graph these 2. That's on you to do. Okay. Now this one takes it a step farther. This says what is the equation of the slope, or the line that we can't see. So on the last page, we found what the slope was, but not the full equation. In this case, we need the slope and the y-intercept. Well, what's the first thing we know how to do? Well, we know how to find the slope. When something passes through these 2 points, we use that slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, let's go ahead and label these. We have x1, y1, x2, and y2. Okay, so y2 is -3 minus y1, which is 4, over x2 is 2 minus x1, which is 0. Cool. All right, so we get -7 on top over 2 on bottom. So there's our slope right here. Now I'm going to write it over here where it says slope. So that's -7 over 2 is our slope. Now, let's think about this. What is our y-intercept? Well, let's go back and look at the points. You see this point right here? That is 0 in the x, and then we have a 4 in the y. Whenever you have a 0 in the x, this is going to be your y-intercept. Let me show you why. Let's go up to this graph right here. Where's the point 0,4 at? Well, point 0,4 is right. 2, 1, 2, 3 is right here. Well, that's on the y-axis, isn't it? That means that has to be the y-intercept. So in this case, our y-intercept is 4. And so let me re-explain that real quick. Our y-intercept is 4 because our x is 0 here. Anytime your x is 0, the y value is going to be your y-intercept. Okay. So now can we write the equation? Yeah, I mean, we have slope and y-intercept. Those are the only two things we need. So the equation is going to be y equals -7 over 2x plus 4. Can we put plus 4? Because it's a positive 4 for our y-intercept. All right. So these next two problems are kind of a challenge. I'm going to do 9 with you, but then it's on you to do number 10. Okay. So what is the equation? So again, when you're writing the equation, you need both the slope and the y-intercept of your line. And now we can't see this line, but we do know 2 points that it goes through. So the first thing we can do is find the slope. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to write it again. We have our slope formula. Okay. So hopefully we're getting good at labeling these. x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is 1 minus y1, which is 3, over x2 is -3, minus x1 is -1. 1 minus 3 is -2 over -3. Now this is going to be -3 plus 1, right? So that's going to be -2. Okay. Should we live our slope like that? No, I don't think we should. -2 over -2. That just simplifies to 1, right? So our slope is 1. Or how else could we write it? We could write it as 1 over 1 because we typically think of slope as a fraction. Okay. Now, what is the y-intercept? I'm going to erase to give myself some room because we're about to have to do a little bit of work. Well, on this previous question, we found the y-intercept because the x was 0. That made this the y-intercept. Well, if we look here, we don't have an x as a 0 anywhere. So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead and write the slope-intercept equation. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, go ahead and write that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these points, and we're going to replace the x and the y with one of them. Let's just use this one. Let's use this one right here. So the y value from this point is 1, right? So we're going to replace this y with a 1 equals. Okay. Now m, what does m stand for again? Well, it's the slope, right? So we're going to put 1. Now mx means m times x. So 1 times, well, what is x from this point? Well, it's -3. Okay? Then we're going to do plus, and we're going to keep this as plus b. Because what are we trying to find? Well, we're trying to find the y-intercept, right? So if we're trying to find that, then we need to keep this as a variable to find it. And now, if you'll notice, now we have an equation to solve. Super easy equation. So just bring down the 1 equals, what's 1 times -3? Well, it's -3 plus b. So now you just got to solve for b. Well, let's just add 3 to both sides, right? So 1 plus 3 is going to be 4, and all we have left over here is b. So what is our y-intercept? Well, it's 4, so it happens to be 4 again, like this one up here. So now we have the slope and the y-intercept. Let's go ahead and write the equation. Y equals, so our slope is 1. If you have a slope of 1, you don't have to put the 1, you just put x. Okay, plus 4. Now, you don't have to put the 1 because it's understood, but you can put 1 if you want. Okay, so if you need to go back and rewatch this number 9 again to be able to do number 10, go for it, but it's on you to do number 10. Okay, you'll go ahead and try that for yourself. So you'll first need to find the slope, then do what we did right here to find the y-intercept. Then once you have both your slope and your y-intercept, then you can find your equation. This is the last question I'm doing on here, and this will be the last one for the video. Okay. So this question says, Mr. Simons wants to buy a new guitar for his son. Okay, the guitar cost $900, and Mr. Simons plans on paying $75 per month to pay off the guitar. Write a linear equation in slope-intercept form to represent this financial situation right here. Okay, so let's think about this. What is the starting point? How much does it start out costing? Well, it starts out costing $900, right? So make this note. The y-intercept in a word problem is typically going to be the starting point. Okay? And then the slope is the we're going to call it the constant change, meaning the thing that happens over and over again. Well, what is that in this situation? Well, it's me paying the $75 per month. Okay, so we have our slope, we have our y-intercept. Let's go ahead and make the equation. Y equals, okay, let's go ahead and put plus 900 at the very end, because that's our starting point. That's how much it starts out costing. If I'm paying $75 per month, am I adding to that 900 or taking away? Well, I'm taking away. So this slope is not going to be positive, it's going to be negative. It's going to be negative 75. Then make sure we put our x. And look at that, we've already made the equation. Y equals negative 75x plus 900. And what this is saying is the guitar costs $900, and each month we are taking $75 away from what the cost is. Okay, so to finish this question, what does x represent in this context? Well, if we have $75 per month, x represents the number of months that I'm paying this guitar off. And then what does y represent? So what does y represent? Well, think about this. If we have $900 that we owe and we pay $75 each month, y is going to be whatever it equals after we do that. So y is the amount of money owed after a certain amount of time, meaning whatever you plug in for x, you'll get a different value for y, and whatever you get for y is going to be the amount of money you owe. So if you put a 2 in for x, that's going to say, okay, you've been paying for 2 months. Okay, and whatever this equals, okay, that's going to tell you how much you owe after 2 months, which is going to be what y represents. Okay, with that being said, y'all go ahead and finish the rest of this. There's no homework today. Just make sure you turn in the homework that you did have over the weekend.